Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on our podcast. His name is Larry Bolinger, and he is from the Legalize Marijuana Now Party. So welcome to the podcast, Larry.
Yeah, thank you.
Larry, let us get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Sure. Well, I've been fairly busy with politics for about 15 years. I ran for local, state, and federal office, and during that time I argued quite a few different policies and made some positive changes in our local government here. I'm a veteran. I've served in both the Air Force and the National Guards. And I've just earned a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Nebraska. I majored in political science and minored in criminology. So I've studied quite a bit on constitutional law, international law, and police procedure. And right now I'm working on a master's degree in public administration. In all my campaigns, I've always made sure that we held the government accountable for their actions or inactions, and the studies I've done will certainly help me continue that work.
Sounds good. So what got you involved in the Legalize Marijuana Now Party?
Well, in 2020, I ran for Congress and ran against Mark Ellsworth Jr. He was running for Congress too. He was running as a Democrat. I was running as a Republican, and we kind of supported each other's platform, even though we was running against each other. And then after that election was done, Mark and Crystal decided to start up the Legal Marijuana Now Party and wanted me to be one of the chairmen. And since we kind of had an agreement, well, we both supported each other's platform running for Congress. It kind of transferred over for when we ran for, when we put together the Legal Marijuana Party and then decided what positions we'd run for.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just, choosing Attorney General, it's can be one of the more demanding positions, as looking at Secretary of State or Attorney General. And the Attorney General is a position that would get the job done that needs to be done, with law reform. That's a big issue that we need to work on.
So in your view, what are the responsibilities and functions of the Attorney General of Nebraska in particular, since you're running for that position?
There's a lot of responsibilities in that position. You're considered the people's lawyer.
Okay.
And considered the top cop. But you try and coordinate legal proceedings. You support the Constitution. You support and push policies for environmental regulations. That particular job has a very wide range. And that's why you have a very large staff. You got about 100 lawyers and clerks and assistants that help that position. And you got to coordinate well.
So how do you plan to implement the Legalize Marijuana Now Party's vision shall you get elected to Attorney General?
Well, basically, when you're passing new initiative or any policy, you got to do your research analysis and have a in-depth write-up on the policies you're trying to push. You don't want to just play party politics and run a bill just because your party says so. You got to be educated on what you're doing.
Okay.
And that's what I've done. A lot of bills that I've presented. I do the research. I get the in-depth analysis and then present it, and that way I'm able to argue it.
So what do you plan to change shall you get elected to Attorney General?
Well, there's quite a few things. One of the primary things you got to do, you got to have your different law reforms, working on victimless crimes. You got to be tough on crime, though. You can't be slack. That'd be a bad position for any attorney general to try and be soft on crime. I mean, you got to be tough on crime, but you got to be smart. And you got to push diversion programs. You push your drug courts, rehab, intense supervision, and you got to look at the research on that. There's a lot of states that have updated their system, and I agree with what they've done. They've reduced crime by 40%. They've reduced repeat offenders by as much as 60%. That's what we want to look at. We can't just ignore it and continue packing our prison system, which is what we've been doing for the past 20 years. And by doing that, we have our representatives have created the highest per capita prison overpopulation in the entire nation. And it's because we have a failed policies. And that's what we need to fix. And that's going to be a big job to fix what's broke.
Sure. So who are your opponents in this race, and what are they like?
Well, I just run against one opponent, and that's Senator Hilgars.
Okay.
He's the Speaker of the House. And some things he's a conservative, and that's it. Me, I'm an independent, so I listen to all parties and try and push what's best for the people rather than best for the party.
Sure.
But some things me and Hilgars don't see eye to eye on. He voted down law reform, and I support law reform. That's we have a broken system because we're about 10 to 20 years outdated in several laws. Well, we got most states who have updated has seen a huge success. And then another bill he just shot down was a right to repair. I support right to repair. He shot right to repair down. And I'll tell you a little bit about that right to repair. Basically, it's started with a federal policy called the Digital Millennium Act, which made it illegal for a person who buys a product to work on certain machinery, such as Apple Computer, John Deere, and Tesla vehicles. And John Deere, they created an end-user agreement that says that if you buy this product, you are not allowed to work on it. Well, that takes away your consumer rights. And an attorney general would normally fight for your rights, your consumer rights. That's one of the many jobs he has is fight for consumer rights. And Hilgars, well, he's voted against that because, the legislature is just scared to fight against big corporations. They fear that John Deere is going to pull out of Nebraska and one state isn't going to mean much. But Europe has a right to repair policy. Australia does. Australia sued Apple because of their push on their consumer rights or the violation of consumer rights. That cost them about $9 million. But, it's things like that. They got to look at what's right for the people, not just what's right for going in their own pocket.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what is your campaign strategy? How do you plan to reach the voters?
Well, right now what we're doing is we're expanding our management base, getting, just kind of spot checking different areas with campaign signs. So right now we're just expanding campaign managers, trying to add another 10 campaign managers, and just working with them, talking, see what the people want, need out of an attorney general. The list gets bigger and bigger every day. So there's a lot of things that people would like to see done that's not being done right now.
Okay.
So if I'm elected, I'm going to have a pretty big book of things to do.
So do you have ballot access already obtained, or are you in the process of getting it?
What was that?
Do you already have ballot access assured, or are you in the
Yeah.
process of getting it?
No, I'm assured. I won the primary, so I'm on the regular election ballot.
Okay.
So all I have to do is expand my management team. I mean, we're doing good. Things are going good. We got some good support, and they're helping me get the name out and promote. But we're still about 10 people short. We want to get that filled up quick, and that way I can do a good run through the state here this month and next month.
Sure. So since you mentioned earlier that you ran for other offices, what did you learn from those races that you are planning to bring to this race and that you could teach people out there listening?
Well, from running the different races, you run for office, you put the people's needs above yourselves. Time after time again, I see politicians, they're running their own thing, and they're not out there talking to the people. When you run like in for Congress or Attorney General, you get incumbents that are only talking to people with a lot of money in the bank account. You don't see them out there talking to the people that actually matters. They're the one that's going to vote you in. So you got to put their needs above, the big banks, and that's what I see a lot.
So you're planning to talk to the people rather than the companies with the money.
Right. I'm part of the working class. So I guess, more in tune with the working class. And I'm not out there just creating events just for people who could pay $1,000 a meal to hear me speak. Of course, I'm not that good a speaker anyway. But but anyway, I'm out there just talking to the people and seeing what they think needs done, writing it down. I write it down so I don't forget. And when I get in office, we'll go back through everything I talked about and then make sure that those things are being done.
That sounds like a good way to do it.
Yeah. I think it's just being responsible to the people, and that's what we need to start doing. That's what when I ran for city council. I actually got into politics for the means of protecting property rights. We had a local city council that was underhandedly taking over people's property to try and claim eminent domain to sell it to a bank so they can get a kickback. Anyway, that's what first got me into politics, is fighting for property rights and against government corruption. And that just kind of followed through when I ran for the state legislature and for Congress and now for Attorney General, just continue protecting people's rights.
Sounds good. So Larry, how can our audience out there support your campaign?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. Helping me get signs out. I got a website, LarryBolinger.com. There's can donate. Money's always nice. That helps me get around the place, around the state, helps me get more signs, paper media, and just and volunteer as team captains for different counties. That'd be a big help.
So the website again is LarryBolinger.com, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. We can direct people there.
Okay. That'd be very helpful.
Excellent. Larry, we thank you kindly for coming on the podcast today and talking about your campaign.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me.
We wish you all the best in your campaign.
Yep. Thank you.
Take care.
Yep, you too.
Bye now.